What is up, everyone? It's me here, a short video because I have to get a workout in. You know, with the whole force the vote, um, it just shows how corporatized America is. The fact that these bougie liberals like TYT are opposed force the vote and oppose single payer. Um, and these bougie people like Nomiki Kant, Sam Cedar, Anna Kasparian, who's an imperialist that is tied to Madeleine Albright in the München Securities Conference, all oppose single payer because over the last year, I worked as an essential worker, okay? And basically, we had very little protection. And there were customers roaming up and down the aisles that were not wearing masks or not wearing masks correctly. There was not much social distancing. And even now, the department that I worked for, the employees were all used to gather around the manager's desk without much social distancing. They weren't 2 meters away, or minimum 184 centimeters away from each other. And like, I had department managers when they were sitting at the manager's desk, in the stock room. They were in the stock room. They were not covering their noses with the mask, and yeah, and it was just, corporations did too little, too late for their employees, and the government did too little, too late to even get any kind of mask mandate. It took getting another mayor in my town. After we realized the previous mayor had an affair with a news anchor, and he was slandered. He ended up quitting. It's a long, dramatic story, but you guys get the picture. But imagine having to back up bag for anti-maskers who were roaming around the store. And I had a phone call with my auntie earlier, and we talked about this. And then also, sometimes I would accidentally miss the bus to work, and then I would have to take a cab. And so a lot of these cab drivers, they won't wear a mask, or they won't cover their nose with a mask. Cab 151, cab 212, and cab 116 are all known anti-maskers. And that's part of the reason why I left my job, was the long commute and the prospect of having to take a cab with an anti-masker driver, dealing with anti-maskers roaming around the aisles with little to no enforcement of the mask policy, and then having to back up bag for them, sometimes on the front end. Workers are getting the short end of the stick. It's time for workers to advocate for our rights, force corporations, force governments to do what is right to protect the workers, protect the ordinary people. I know workers that have relatives that have pre-existing health conditions. I actually have relatives that have pre-existing health conditions. And I haven't seen those relatives in a year because of the pandemic. So we need to, enact stricter protections for essential workers, and I'm hoping in my next job I can do this. So, and the pandemic was totally mishandled by this country. I mean, even compared to like Spain or Italy, they're handling it way better than America are. And Spain and Italy, they have single payer health care. They have a life expectancy of 82 years and 83 years respectively, or it's 83 years and 84 years respectively, something like that. America, It's like 80 years old is the life expectancy. No single payer. Can you imagine what America's life expectancy would be with single payer? It would go up to like 85 or 86 or something like that. And we can't even get single payer in the middle of a global pandemic with nasty side effects. This is ridiculous. This is absurd. This is baloney, you know? And the fact that corporations and municipal governments don't want to protect essential workers adequately, that's ridiculous and absurd also. And I think now it's time for workers to, and low-income people, working people, however you want to call it, just advocate for our rights and force them to take action. I mean, the only reason they somewhat followed the guidelines, and they even remotely tried to follow the guidelines at my old place of work, is because I pushed them to. And that's why. It's because I pushed them to, and again, I almost got sacked in October because I pushed them to enforce to a certain extent the guidelines. I almost got sacked because of that, man. That almost cost me my job, man. I was one step from getting sacked because of that. I'm not kidding. I got pulled in the office 2 days in a row and talked about that because I was telling coworkers to put on a mask, and I was quote unquote overstepping my boundaries because I wasn't a manager and I didn't have quote unquote the authority to do that, post quote. That's how bad it is. And not everybody follows these guidelines either. So we need strict enforcement. And you should have seen this summer all kinds of anti-maskers roaming through the aisles of the store. And yeah. So that's why I'm finding another job. Part of the reason. There's a lot of reasons. It's complicated. We'll get to it all. I have a big video coming out tomorrow. And that's why. That's part of the reason. So as you watch the events in DC unfold today, and as you think about Force the Vote and how there was a massive campaign against Force the Vote by MSNBC and München Security Conference involved people such as Anna Kasperi and Cenk Uygur, aka the Junk Ogre, because he looks like a arrogant ogre. Sam Cedar, that smug, elitist, college-educated clown, Sam Cedar. You know, as you look at these arguments, you look at the massive campaign against Force the Vote, against single payer, know who's on your side. I'm on your side. Obi from Yellow Vest America's on your side, even though he sold out to Bernie in the primary. He's still on our side for single payer. He's still on our side. Franco from Frank Analysis, he's on our side. So know who's on your side, and hey, let's force governments and corporations to do what the people want, to do what the workers want. And let's get the fraud squad out of office, put some nonpartisan people, because I truly believe I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat, I'm nonpartisan. Let's put some nonpartisan people in there and let's make a difference. That's all I have today. Peace.